Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 28th episode of the ArtaCast with probably the the most exciting episode ever because we got our first. Don't expect too much, but we have our first reveal today, and what's very, very, very exciting and a great honor for us both. And don't be afraid, we won't hold you back much longer, but we will show it to you soon. Just first question, as always, like Eddie, how was your Lorcana week? Did you play Lorcana? Did you play Set Championship this weekend or something? Like, did you play a Haufen? What did you do?
I didn't play a Set Championship this weekend. The ones close by to me start next weekend, so I'll be playing my first one there. And I've got my Haufen cooked up, ready to go. So yeah, I didn't play at all this weekend, but I actually had a really nice weekend watching Lorcana.
Mm-hmm.
I watched pretty much all of the Southside Gaming coverage of their 10K and 5K this weekend, and yeah, just wanted to give a shout out to those guys. What a show they're putting on! Like that was really, really fun. Anytime you get to sort of see JDZ on coverage and Skinner and Gabe, those guys there, they did a really, really good job. It was a really, really good show, and I guess that there's a wider point of like third-party tournament organizers like them are doing a great job of filling this gap with enjoyable content. So yeah, massive shout out to all of them. A fantastic show as usual, and a ton of fun to watch. If you didn't watch it, go watch the end of the 10K because it just ends in chaos with them eating these awful eggs. Like it sounds like it makes no sense, but it does. It was really really fun content, and yeah, had a great time. So yeah, just took a back seat, did some watching, not so much playing. How about you? Did you have a set championship?
I did. I wanted to play one, but my friends actually had something against it. Like, I am marrying in 2 weeks, and they just took me by surprise on Thursday and caught me, put me into a car, and drove with me to a house in the mountains, and the bachelor party, it's called, like, in English, I guess.
Yep.
And yeah, we were there till Sunday. It was a great weekend, but yeah, unfortunately, I was not able then to play a Haufen, which I hopefully do this weekend because the weekend afterwards I'm marrying, so I will not be able to do that. And even this week it will be a bit because we have a lot of preparation to do, and I hope I can make one on Saturday. And then I want to play one Haufen this season.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it must be a very busy time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, what I forgot to say, like, we also want to talk about today, like the announcement stream for the next chapter of Ravensburger just was like half an hour ago, and we got some new infos about the game, new card reveals, a lot of new stuff, and I'm very positive about it. And but we'll talk about it later. I think I give it up to you to maybe do the card review now, right?
Yeah, let's not keep people waiting. If maybe with this card reveal we might have some first time listeners. If you are checking us out for the first time, please come back. If you already don't like what you're hearing, feel free to not. but stick around. We talk about competitive Lorcana, and it's usually pretty fun. But yeah, with that said, let's not waste everybody's time. So our first card reveal is, and let's reveal on the screen for people now. It's the Mouse Queen from Basil. The Mouse Queen, ruler of Mousedom. This is a 3/6 vanilla 4-cost character, so right up your street. Nice overstatted vanilla body. Sort of looks like it doesn't do anything, but its strength lies in sort of being slightly overstatted. It's a stat line we've seen before, which when I first saw this, I thought that's a bit odd. But now that we have the context of set rotation coming, it makes sense that you keep these kinds of cards evergreen so that you can always play with them. And Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend it's going to set the world on fire competitively, but I do have one specific use case where I think that a 3/6 forecast in Sapphire is actually really relevant. So, can you guess what that is before I say it?
Hmm. No, I don't know.
No, you can't think of a single use case.
No. I have
No dreams.
other use cases. I come with something
Okay.
else.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Just you shoot your gun now, and then I shoot my gun.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. Yeah. So again, I don't want to sort of like I think it's important to be honest to me that this is a card that plays a specific role. It should always exist that you'll have access to these kinds of cards with these stat lines. It's like I say, not going to set the world on fire competitively. But in a Blurple deck, when you're skipping from 2 to 4, and this 3/6 stat line has proven relevant in the past. It's like the only thing you can play against Steel Song, which is your worst matchup by a good long way, that's going to live through a Zeus. And that's like a big turning point in the game. And people have tried it. I know like some Blurple players have tried with this stat line before, and it does actually fill a pretty important role in some matchups. So again, it's not like an auto include, but
Yeah, I think there was the. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if you're someone who's like dead set on playing Blurple and you expect a super Steel Song heavy field, which would cause most people to not play Blurple, but if you wanted to still go for it, you need something like this with a massive amount of willpower on turn 3, and something bigger than Genie, something bigger than Rabbit or Goat, something that actually can live through a Zeus. So yeah, there's a reasonable case for it, and now this card's forever going to have a place in our hearts as our first ever reveal. So I think at least it's a cute one, you know?
Yeah. My wife actually played. I think she played 2 Walrus.
Oh yeah.
In Ravensburg, like the same stat line, like for the reasons you mentioned. And this one has also like 2 tags that could be important. Like I saw some reveals for ally support. Ally Queen, I don't know, could be also. If we saw in other TCGs also like sometimes cards that are not crazy powerful in itself, but with the right text it can be C play.
Yeah, sure.
And it's far away from the worst vanilla stat line that you can have. Like it's a really good vanilla stat line.
Yeah, it is.
With right text. So I'm grateful and honored we got this reveal. And and like you said, it will always be in our heart. It's great to have that.
I'm going to try and fill a binder with foil copies of this, I think.
Yeah. I will. I mean, you can. I wanted to say. I hope I draw one. I pull out of a pack. But if I get like 2 boxes, there should be. There should be.
You should find one.
Yeah, I should find one. Yeah, nice.
But yeah, nice. That's a real important moment for us, and it's so nice.
I'm a bit nervous now. Like
you're nervous.
I'm hyped because it's like I'm influenced in the just in the spoiler season of the game of the next set, and feels good. And just can say nice. Yes.
Cool.
Before we speak about what's coming up, I think there's still a bit to talk about, like what's happening right now in the Lorcana world. What's happening right now are the set championships, what are still like important for the people. And I want to talk with you about a topic that I think is like, how can I say, could be important for the people just to think about. And because we all make jokes about the Haufens, like we call them, because we say like it's worse versions of decks that we build. And I think, I don't want to say it's like that, but I think it's not necessarily like that. And I mean that really honest. I mean that not like a joke or something. Because I played last week in the locals my Haufen. Like you see it right now. It's like a real Haufen, like nearly 5 lines. And I was really impressed by the deck. It's like you laugh now, but I was really impressed by the deck because what are we doing in building decks? Like that's a real a basic question you have to ask yourself if you're building it. What is your purpose with a deck? What do you want to do with it? What's the goal of it? And for many reasons, for some reasons you put certain cards in your deck. That's clear. But I think the purposes of cards are not like there are not too many reasons to put card in the deck. Like you have removal, card draw. I don't know, maybe some disruption in like the big Ursula or the big Pete or something. And you have threats, I would say. These are the four type of cards. Like there are not that many more types of cards, I would say.
Sure.
Like, I mean, you could say Elsa is the best removal we have access to, but it's not the best removal in every regard, like in every situation. Yeah. It's often a good solution for cards, but there are enough situations where a Bruno or a Mother Knows Best or something is better right now than an Elsa. That's, I think, probably clear. And people love consistency for a reason, that's clear. But consistency is like I got laughed out in our Discord where one said like consistency is an illusion. Of course, consistency is no illusion in itself, but like consistency is an illusion for certain cards. Like if you like, for example, if you play one Bruno and one Mother Knows Best, your deck is not less consistent than you have if you play two Mother Knows Best. That makes no sense. If you play only 3 rabbits in a deck that wants to draw a lot of cards, that's cost consistency, but not. And what that's a long way to say that I think you can learn a lot if you try a Haufen, and maybe we need to learn, or I want to learn more to build more diverse decks, because I really think how can I say it, from a mathematical aspect, it's nearly always the case, like if you have, how can I say it, 5 different cards it's in your hand right now, it's nearly always better than if you have 3 cards of one and 2 of the other card in your hand. Like nearly always.
Yeah.
And like you have more options. In this deck, it sounds weird, but you have a lot of options because you have like only different cards in your deck. And for many of these cards, I can't say, and maybe that sounds like not very professional, I can't say this which is the better card. Like it's really hard to say so often for me, like which is the better card. The other thing is, the other real upside is from a Haufen is that you get so less predictable. It's kind of insane. I play this one of Hypnotize. I play this one of Lucifer. I nearly with all cards in my deck, I catch my opponent off guard. It's like, how can you prepare for? And you can say, okay, you play this all as a one-off. You don't have them reliably, but it sounds weird now. But I know what I have right now, and I just have to make sure that all of these cards are not complete nonsense. They have some role to fill, but I know what I have. Maybe it's for us both, for my opponent and for me, unsure what I have. But I at least have the advantage to know what I actually have right now in my hand, and my opponent doesn't. So my opponent, I just experienced how hard it is, like for my opponent to play around stuff from my deck. It's like it felt great, and I want to. I really appreciate, by the way, that you made this change, because I really want to explore this more. Like how much I don't stay with a 5-liner, but how much of a Haufen influence I want to have in my deck, because I think like that there are also some like, remember Frank Carsten? I'm really high on Frank Carsten. It's a big brain of card games, and he always plays like a lot of one-off, and I think he could think the same that I explained right now. And I don't know what I just want to tell the people, like, try this out, see this as a challenge, and don't see it like too choke like a choke. See it as a, oh, this is like, how diverse can I play my deck? It's probably wrong to play not 4 Murphox, for example. I know I play a lot of, this is fun, the one-offs, the one-off one-drops. But if as you go higher on the curve here, it gets way less of a joke. Like the bell and there's so many things in this deck that your opponent it's just impossible to play around all this stuff. It's just impossible. And if you play a 2-liner, it's very easy possible to play around all of the stuff. And yeah, I just would like to hear your opinion. What do you think? Did I say, in your opinion, like stupid stuff, or like what do you think about this concept of we should play like I that's just my inner feeling a bit, if I see
I get it.
good performing deck lists, I always think like these are 2 less different cards. That's very often what I think when I see winning deck lists. That's very often what I think. And for me personally, I just want to explore that more, and I encourage people to do that too. And don't think like people think I get less consistent if I don't play everything as a 4th. That's not the case. That's not the case. It's the case for specific cards in your deck. Like if you play only 3 cheapos that cost consistency or something, but not for for many other stuff. Because, like I said, the purposes of cards are not too crazy. We have not that many purposes of cards. It's like I said, it's just removal, card draw, and threats and stuff, and maybe disruption a bit. How do you
totally
think?
Yeah, I completely get what you're saying, and you said something that's one point in particular I think is really, really interesting, which is that when you're building for consistency, it makes sense to maximize the number of like, if a card is inherently good in a vacuum and plays well in your deck and has a specific role that you think is going to come up very commonly, you want to see it every game, it makes sense to play 4 copies. But it's really, the bit that I really, really liked is what you were saying about when you're holding 2 copies of the same card versus, like, the example that sprung to mind is for me, holding a Go-Go and a Sir Hiss versus holding 2 Go-Go's. Like, that situation is immediately better because you can make a contextually relevant decision about, like, okay, well, one of these cards is getting inked and one of them's getting played. And now, what's more relevant to me here? Like, do I value having 3 strength right now, or do I value maybe having 2 willpower, or maybe I'm inking one of them and holding the Go-Go for late game because I think I'm going to need lots of reach in this game? You get to make a lot of meaningful decisions like that, which have a really high contextual relevance and can massively change the outcome of a game. A bunch of them added up over time. Certainly, what you said lines up well with my experience of building out my Haufen for the challenge. By the way, just wanted to say, if we do have any listeners that not up to speed with this and they're like confused by this, head over to my Twitter, which is @LorcanaDecks. We're running a challenge of building decks within these constraints. Convoluted decks, lots of unique cards, minimum 25 unique cards. But in my experience of putting them together, I really locked in on the fact that actually, when it comes to enabling consistency, like you say, every deck has a core. It has a number of core cards that you'll see in your list here. Things that have to be a 4 of, or things that, as long as they're a 4 of, different moving parts can happen around them, and actually it isn't worse. And in a lot of cases, the variety of cards that you're playing and the unpredictability of it comes close to like competitively outweighing, like the value of it competitively comes close to outweighing the consistency. And it's not true for all decks. It's probably a lot more true for something like
Yeah,
green purple,
that's
which is
true.
honestly just like a pile of fair cards anyway. There are other decks that for sure would need more 4 ofs, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true.
I've seen different people. I've seen different people attempting different decks, and like something like Steel Song, for example, like that's a rough one. Like there are lots of cards in that deck that like really need to be 4s, and at the very least 3s. So something building like this wide deck full of 1 ofs,
Yeah, that's true.
it's way harder to do.
That's
But
true. Yeah.
yeah, in terms of your thinking and like development, thinking about the way you build decks, I think that lesson that you've learned, a breakthrough, is really relevant and really worth learning as well, because we take it as gospel that consistency is king, and it is, but also sometimes it isn't. Like,
Yeah, it's like yeah.
it's really difficult to say.
I think just consistency is the wrong term. I would
Sure.
just say reliability of a card to have. Like, I mean, it's no if this is a synonym, I don't know, but it's like
Yeah.
you have this card like more reliably, but that doesn't mean you get more consistent. It's hard to say. It's like you could also say the consistency gets worse because if you have multiple different answers to something, you have maybe a more consistent answer to that card, you know, like
Sure,
because
yeah.
all Elsa, for example, is not always the answer to a genie. You need another evasive. So you have maybe more consistent, you can say, answers to genie if you play multiple removal tools that can sometimes be like Iago could be a removal tool for a genie if you or something
sure.
like that. That's why I think consistency is the wrong term for what we want to say about it. It's just reliably the cards that you the reliable card that you want right now. Like I want always an Elsa. Like I want always an Elsa, and then you maximize her, of course. But yeah, it's hard to say, hard to explain.
Yeah, no, I think it makes total sense though, and I'm sure it'll make sense to people as well. I'm glad that you've taken something practical out of it. It's not just a fun exercise, but it's helping you sort of learn. And other people have said like quite similar things as well, which is really exciting and positive to hear. Just putting a different constraint on yourself, trying to build a deck in a slightly different way within a boundary, can sometimes help you think differently. So I think, yeah, really good that you've got something valuable from it, and I'm interested to see how much of a mess it makes all your future decks that you take
I
to
mean
major tournaments.
the natural thing, like we card players think is, and it's like natural that we always come back to a nearly 2-liner because we then think, I need a kit now, and then think, I put more kits in, and then I think I need more Elsas now. I put more Elsas in, and like the natural, like we naturally build our decks like to have less multiple, less different cards, but it's like it's not necessarily meant that it's better than. It's just our natural reaction to. Like if we see Diablo deck and we lose to it, then we put more Peter Pans in and more Elsas, and then and it's like and that doesn't necessarily mean it's better, but it's like the natural thing how it evolves a bit, So, but it's good to keep in mind that it's just a good it's a good way to see the game from different angles, I think. Because we usually wouldn't play like something like that. And even I got a library sometimes, and then sometimes I got the Queen's card, and I just nice. I can slam down a castle now, and then my opponent would never think about it, and it's like I felt like every card in this deck, my opponent, like the Hypnotize I got 2 wins out of just of the random Hypnotize in my deck. And if you would play it as a 4-off, then your opponent would completely I mean, if they see the sudden shit and stuff and everything, then they play differently. But if they just know you play a random hypnotize in your deck, should they play around it? I don't know. Probably not. Also, the 3 cost Diablo. It's so funny because they will never mulligan for it. You know, like they would. If you're an open deck list, it's not the first thing they do. Is like mulligan for a Diablo answer, and then you just slam your one of Diablo turn 3, and it's like it's a lot of fun, and yeah,
nice.
And I would not. How can I to make a conclusion? Like, I wouldn't be surprised that. How can I say? I would be surprised, but not from the power level of the deck, if someone wins a big tournament with a Haufen. It's not that I think it's the least likely thing to happen for me. It's beat it. If you play against it, best of 3, beat it, and then you can bash it, and then you are allowed to like beat it, draw 1,000 cards, and I put off one of Clarabelle, and then it's a lot of fun.
Draw no cards, you're one of Lucifer. It's
some people like I imagine like people like Ed listening to this and think, what am I listening here? It's such a stupid. They are so stupid. But yeah.
Ed is branching out. Ed showed interest in taking part in the challenge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But I think he's seeing that as a joke. Probably, I think not like.
No, me. Wait and see what Ed brings to Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very excited for that. Okay.
Yeah, nice.
Do we want to go to the big news we got?
Let's do it. Let's get into the new stuff.
I think the first one is I think it was also the first one they said. It's like the set Fabled, they teased a bit, and then they said about the rotations. They announced the set rotation for next for the set 9. So when set 9 releases, set 1 to 4 are not longer allowed to. Cards from that set are not longer allowed to play, at least not in the constructed format. They will get an own format like the Infinity, they called it, I think. Not the most unlikely thing to happen. I think many people assumed it a bit that at some point it will happen. We get it now. I'm not surprised that much. I think it's also, I'm not that high into it, but I think it's probably the right thing to do or necessary thing to do. And I'm excited. It keeps the game fresh, I think, and it is necessary, like to some regard, in every TCG. I think if you want to also satisfy like a new players or something like this, or like just to you don't want to play rabbits in 5 years still, and
no.
Yeah, and the card pool gets too big, and even if you could also say like, if you jump out the game right now for a year or something, do something else, and you come back, then you have a much easier time to come back actually, because the card pool is smaller. And I was excited. I think it's the right thing to do. What do you say about it?
Yeah, I'm really, really positive about rotation. It is completely necessary from a bunch of different angles. I think for a lot of players, like we know that Lorcana is pretty popular as a first TCG. It's brought a lot of people to TCGs that weren't players before. And rotation for those players will be jarring. Like this, the idea that your cards that you paid money for are no longer legal for play in competitive events is jarring the first time you encounter it. But
what does jarring mean? Sorry.
Jarring is like, ooh, shakes you, like
okay, yeah.
Not nice. Like
yeah.
basically. I love, by the way, that I explain different words every weekend. It's just, and most of the time you ask me, and I have no idea of a clear definition. It's just something I've said my whole life. And so, what does this mean? I'm like, I don't really know actually. I just know that it means this. Um, but yeah, yeah. The first time that happens is not pleasant. It feels bad, right? Like I spent money on these cards, I want to be able to play with them. That's why we have eternal formats like Infinity, so you can continue play with them because rotation is so essential to the health of the game. Um, the nature of Lorcana and specifically its very forgiving and smoothing mulligan system means that these games are so consistent. The nature of also tons of the most powerful cards in the game being printed in primarily set 2 means that we have spent such a long time seeing so many of the same play patterns. It's like whether you're getting turn 1 Cindy Stormed, whether you're watching rabbits and goats get bounced, whether it's just like ramp into a Sisu, whatever it is, these play patterns, you've seen them a million times, and there comes a point when there has to be a shake up. You have to change things up in a way where the play patterns are going to change. Not every game isn't going to feel the same. So yeah, rotation is really exciting from that point of view, and it creates your first real chance to innovate again. Like you're starting from a reasonably fresh ground. We know there's going to be reprints of key cards. We don't know what all of those are yet. There are some of them that are like basically essential. Like Be Prepared is essential, or we need a functional reprint of Be Prepared. There must be a conditionless board sweeper, for example, or the game becomes radically different. But for the most part, it's like it's all new ground. You're going to be able to brew decks in a way that you haven't been able to for quite a long time. There are some cards that have been so powerful and prevalent for so long, it reduces the playability of new cards.
Yeah.
If you don't rotate, you live in a world where every single set feels like the last one, where it's like, okay, there are 3 playable cards in this set for the most part, and a couple of fringe playable cards. Like you don't want that. Your new product can't be that unexciting and have that low of an impact. Like obviously, set 7 had a major metagame impact because the specific cards were so good that they shook everything up. But you need wider playability of your product,
Yeah,
so you have to keep the card pool shallow.
Yeah, it also
Yeah.
removes the necessity of power creeping.
Yep.
Like you don't need to power creep, at least not that much. If you just know, we can now say that the power level of if set 8 comes out now, and this is the assumed power level of cards probably we can assume in this game, like there will not be much more power creep than I think, because we don't need it, because just the rotation happens. And they just can think about different things, but they don't need to print cards like Bell or something to get even played. Yeah, so that's, I think from an objective perspective, I don't think you can say much against it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if you look back over look back at all the sets we have currently, there is a real break point around set 4, where many of the metagame defining cards are from 1 to 4. And like some of the ones that have the greatest impact on how decks are built and formed are there. And so you get the feeling that this is all by design, right? Like it was understood that, okay, a bunch of real powerful stuff happened. We now have a deeper understanding after many years of how this game is going to be played. And there's a conscious effort to not power creep too much. Once that stuff shuffles out, you're left with a format that will feel closer to set 1 to 4 format, and or just a smaller card pool format. And we can kind of rotation enables them to maintain around that power level. The main argument I see against it, not that we need to dwell on that too much, is like, well, okay, if you want to get certain overpowered cards out of the format, why not just ban them and keep the rest? Because there's underplayed stuff that never got a chance. Because if you do the answer to that is, if you do that, then like, what do I do about my friend who wants to join the game? and they can't. Like they're joining the game for the first time, and like all of the powerful cards from Rise of the Floodborn have been banned. Like the bounce package is gone because it was too good, but then they need like a couple of rares, and this long out of print product as like suppliers dried up. Basically, it makes the barrier to entry get so much higher.
Yeah.
So keep things fresh, keep the card pool shallow. I think it's so good. We're going to see such a shake up. As long as like the reprints aren't too over the top, right? Like there are some things which, if they got reprinted, like the game would change much less, if that makes sense. You
Yeah.
think about
That's
cards like Ariel, that sort of thing,
what
which
I'm
is like
really.
they're so core to like their color's identity that you almost can't imagine the game without them. But then
Yeah, I
like
think Ariel gets a
should
reprint.
we be
I
yeah,
think
like
yeah.
it probably will.
What
But
I'm
then like
curious is the bounce package, because
yeah.
is bounce a core identity to purple? Because like cards like the elephant is set 5.
Mm,
Or at the turtle, I think too. The
yep.
melon turtle. Like, so maybe they think bounce is a core identity to purple in this game, and I thought it's not. Like, it's like
Mm,
purple is, yeah, I don't know, a bit of aggro, a bit card draw stuff, and like a bit like this inevitable lore stuff, and that I thought is purple, but the bounce is apparently uh, a purple thing. Or what do you think?
yeah, but it's like one of those cases where if you look at the total purple card pool, it's not a huge factor. Like it's there,
Yeah,
but it's like a sub theme. But
yeah,
what is there is so powerful that it becomes the
yeah.
core
That's true. Yeah,
identity.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So like the community has made it the core
Yeah, that's
identity.
true. Yeah.
But like so for example, you could quite comfortably reprint Snake. Snake
Yeah.
is an evergreen card that can always be playable and is basically never broken. But Fox is like gotta be on a watch list. Like don't
Mm,
reprint Fox.
I
And
think
Goat
rabbit
and Rabbit are like
also.
so on the line. Like
Yeah.
Rabbit is probably like you can't have Rabbit. And there are so many functional Rabbit replacements now, like Genie, that sort of thing, in that fourth slot that you've got to guess no more Rabbit, which is fair enough.
Yeah,
Like get it
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
So that we can have something fresh and try to build in a different way. Um, but like overall, I think we have a really solid foundation with sets 5 through 8, and with a few reprints, we should have something that is familiar enough to still feel like Lorcana that you know, while fresh enough to like have a bunch of innovation space. And yeah, it's so exciting to me. Like I'm actually excited to brew decks again instead of just
Yeah.
figuring out which new four of to put into the exact same archetypes, because the deck archetypes we know just have there's been for 2 years of game there's been so little evolution in them, like meaningful
Yeah.
evolution,
Yeah.
you know. Like
I
we've seen
thought
so few true new ones appear
I
that
thought
you'd
we got
expect more.
I thought we got in these 2 years, I thought we
Hmm.
got way more like how is this said? The archetypes like musketeer or something. Like in every other
Yeah,
TCG I played, there were a lot more of these like tech decks, like pirates or
yep,
musketeers, and they were really powerful also. Like and we didn't get much of that till now in
yeah,
Lorcana. I mean, a bit of this. What did we get? I don't know. Pirates a bit, like, and
yeah.
a
A bit
bit.
of pirates, a bit of puppies. Like
I mean,
there's a bit of
competitively,
allies now.
allies. Competitively, only allies, bro. Yeah, I don't know. Not that much.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the support for all of those decks, that like they could have been something, but the support for all of them was so shallow.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and just without like truly pushed archetypal cards to hang that off, it just consistently got outshone by just the same engines over and over again. Like
yeah, yeah.
you really gonna play Green Steel Pirates over just like Diablo Prince John Pile? No. Are you really gonna play like puppies
Yeah, and
over
the problem is
I
also
don't know,
like
Church? Yeah.
like you have a focus Grammatala that just you can choose the card you pick, and
Yep.
we have not like the same thing for like pirates, but look at the top 7 cards and pick 2 pirates or
Yeah.
something like that. Is like the basic cards are sometimes even better than the
Yeah.
constrained
Right.
ones,
Yeah.
than the specific ones, and that's a bit if off, but that can of course change in the future. I would like to play some
Yeah.
of
Totally.
this stuff.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that like a lot of the engines shuffling out in the rotation enable some of those ones to get a bit better. And I think it feels like
I'm waiting for my Jim
maybe they'll move
Hawkins
more.
7-drop Ember one still.
I know that's one of your favorites, but
Speaking
never
of
got there.
new of tag based, how's this called? Like tag based decks? Like how's this?
People call it tribal or
Tribal,
typal. Like,
Of course, that's the word I
yeah,
missed. Tribal.
tribal is what is the word that people always used to use, and I think Magic recently made an announcement that they were not going to use the word tribal anymore because of its like cultural associations for
Oh, okay, yeah,
like for tribal populace. So
yeah,
yeah,
but we
tribal or
can,
typal. That's yeah, that you know what we're talking about.
yeah. And speaking of that, I guess we can talk about the first. By recording, we got the first spoilers of the next set, and probably when you hear that, we got like 50 new spoilers already. But
Yeah, there'll be a lot more.
but we can only talk about that we know now, and there were some really exciting ones, and the first one. When we call about this tribal stuff, that I'm really excited is this new Jasmine. That I mean, we just talk about some cards that could have potential from the spoilers in competitive play, and
Yep.
I like the Jasmine. Not, I'm not undoubtedly. I mean, it's like the ally tag is not very broken or something. We have in steel, we have really good ones, and
Yeah, there are a lot of good allies. Yeah.
but it not very broke ones. But what I really like about her is that shift 2 is very early. Like you could compare it like like Diablo stuff.
Yep.
Because you get value like each turn. You shift this on turn 2. There is already in turn 1 Jasmine, which is not great, but it's at least one. And then you get value on turn 2 already. And from that on, your opponent needs to remove this 5 health character, or you get like value every turn in the right deck. So if there's a lot of ifs with this card, but I think in the right, if this gets a lot of other support and then maybe some good other allies, and in the right deck, I could see this card being really good. I think it's very
Yeah.
early. Turn 2 is early for a 2/5 character. 2/5 on turn 2. That's a task for many decks to deal with.
Yeah, that's a tough one, a tough stat line for a lot of decks to beat. Yeah, I think you're totally right with like the Diablo analogy of just okay, you make this shift on turn 2, you present something that's hard to deal with for a couple of turns, and you get a couple of cards from it. You know, it's good, but then it's kind of like a cross between that and the Shift Queen, the 2-cost Shift Queen.
Yeah.
Your ability to start singing big stuff on turn 2 if you want to start Zeusing things, that kind of thing. There's not a lot on turn 2 you need to Zeus a lot of time, but
Yeah, but
you
still,
can. Yeah, you can.
even sometimes
You can
a storm is okay.
yeah, a storm gets the job done a lot of the time. Yeah, I think it looks like a solid card. In some metagames, you would be less excited about playing this 2/5 stat line,
Yeah.
but certainly with fewer Sisus around, a fewer brawls around at the moment.
Yeah, but still, what I thought about it, like if this gets brawled, like you on the play you quest it 2 times with it before it gets brawled, and then I think okay, like you brawl my card that got me 2 cards probably.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not really.
Yeah, in that sense, it's very much like Diablo in that sense, right? Which is like okay, like Diablo eats a turn 3 brawl, fine. You in a perfect world, you got your 2 cards back. You set up something else on your 3rd turn that they would also like to brawl, and you force them to brawl with Diablo.
Yeah.
cool. Like mission accomplished. It's
I
fun.
think she's only playable if you really like. I imagine a deck like really like 30, 40 allies like that. Like you really hit that every time.
Yeah,
Like
there,
must
yeah,
be
there could
a
easily be a couple more really good ones
yeah.
printed, but and the support is like pretty deep. One thing I really don't like is it's a slight tangent, but I really don't like when there is support for a type like allies and the card itself isn't an ally.
Yeah,
Like
that's weird. Yeah, that's
it
weird. Yeah.
really creates this unnecessary deck building challenge. Like I think there was one in the last set, like maybe the
That was
Aladdin or something. Is it?
Bianca was like that
Oh yeah,
too.
Bianca's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
classic. Like
yeah.
costs less for allies. She's not an ally, so it's like you got to jam it in like this reasonably ally dense deck. Yeah, she's great in Steel Song, that sort of thing. That has like a medium amount of cheap allies, and yeah, she just does a job there. But if you were trying to build like a true ally deck, it just creates a real unnecessary tension. Like, would it have been so busted for it to also be an ally?
Yeah, that's true.
I really don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's just the lore. I mean, Jasmine is
Yeah,
not an
right.
ally. She's a hero. But
Yep. Maybe
yeah.
that goes some way to explaining why some of these decks haven't come together in Lorcana, which is they
Mm-hmm.
all have like these pivotal, iconic characters which often don't share their type. Like it's much easier to do with pirates because you can make a pirate version of Daisy Duck or something, and it's like
Yeah.
fine, she's canonically a pirate right now, cool. But you're not going to have a Jasmine that isn't a hero, that sort of thing. Like your heroes are going to be heroes, and they're
Yeah.
probably not like an ally is a tough one because they're like secondary characters, so your main characters are not going to become allies
Yeah.
for the most part. So yeah, put some tension on it. But yeah, I think Jasmine's a super exciting card. Certainly of the first bunch, like one of the more interesting
Yeah.
things we've seen.
That's for sure. That's what I want. For you, which card are you excited for? Is there one? No.
I think a really interesting one to talk about is the lady, the one drop lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 0/3.
When I saw, that's sorry.
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah, when I first saw it, she's a pure replacement for the one drop that exists now. But then I think it's way harder for her to quest for more than one, like the other
Yep.
tramp. But she's inkable, so she has some ups and downsides. But I think she still fits in the lady and the tramp in the Turner Dog deck probably.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
it's a pretty big ask to play 3 characters in a turn and turn this on,
Mm-hmm.
which is tough. But yeah, she synergizes really nicely with the 2-cost tramp.
Yeah.
It's going to pump the strength. So a card like tramp is a really good trading tool for something like Churner Dogs when it is forced, when it's not the aggressor for whatever reason, or there is a must answer threat on the board. Tramp obviously really good for pumping and enabling trades, the 2-cost tramp. But then there are some decks that it's just kind of dead against. It doesn't do a whole lot other than turn on your ladies. So in cases like that, this sort of provides this outlet for the pump effect, which is aggressive rather than defensive. Which is nice. Like I could see you playing against something like red blue when you're just like, right, I just want to gain lore right now in the early game. I need to race. I'm going under this, but my 2-drop, the true like tramp looks like a real awful 2-drop in that situation. Well, actually, if you curve lady into tramp and then you just like quest for 3 on your second turn, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah,
but wait, does that work? Does tramp pump enough on turn 2? I don't know. Maybe it's like a turn 3 thing. But
no. Tramp costs 1 less when you have a lady, so you can play another 1-drop.
Yeah.
So you can play another 1-drop, play tramp, and then
sure.
it's a good turn. What I
seems like a pretty good run out.
Yeah. The thing is like you said, it's like sometimes big open. I also thought about cards like Cricky. Like Cricky, you play Cricky, she already quests for 3. But then like you play Cricky to trade most of the time, and then it's like you buff her and then you quest. But it's like But it's still good. It's still good. I think it's a good addition, for the deck.
Yeah, it's like your deck. Like if your deck wants something like these pump effects, like Cricky or like Tramp or something, because in some matchups you need to take good trades.
Yeah.
I just love that something like this turns being pumped into a really aggressive option as well.
Yeah.
Which is that like I can imagine a situation where you're sitting with like one of these on board and something else. The game started to stall a little bit. You kind of, you maybe got up in lore and your opponent's stabilized, and suddenly like a Cricky is a super threatening draw with something like that in play.
Quest for
And it
3
just turns
self and then
it turns some of your most dead draws into like huge threats, which is it's really cool and worth looking into, I think.
Maybe we get. Do you remember set 1 mech? The 2-drop.
Oh yeah, the two one.
Maybe we get her back. Quest for 3, then right? Because if you play characters, she gets +1, and through mech she get bam. Turn 1 lady, turn 2 mech. No, I don't know, but it's.
I mean,
it's
that does work. That does
it does
Quest for 3
work.
on turn 2.
Don't know if it's worth it to play her then, but it's like, I think
that's a different question, but it works.
Yeah, but it works. But just the lady tag is just good enough also to reduce the cost of the tramp. So you want to play some more ladies, and then she's a inkable, also an inkable option. That's also very meaningful, I think, in favor of the other lady. So
more targets for your shift ladies.
If China Dog is still a deck, this
Decent.
card will surely see play, I think.
Yeah, looks like a real good pickup.
Yeah. The next one, I think, is really exciting. Now, I mean, next one is probably for me the Pinocchio. Let's talk about the sad thing first. First of all, the sad things, and then we talk. We got a new green legendary, and it's the Rapunzel. And it's one of those cards, like, it reminds me a lot. Oh, you get so much like honor from me if you know now which card I mean, on which card this Rapunzel reminds me. Which green legendary we got in the past, like, on which this Rapunzel reminds me a lot.
John Silver from set 1.
No. Yeah, it's like the natural because it's like the similar effect, but it's a completely different effect. And you probably don't know it now, so that's very, very hard to imagine.
Right, so it's like something that's like kind of good enough, but it's like it's a card that looks interesting, but its stat line lets it down.
No, it's like a card that I don't know what their purpose is with. Like, I say no. It's like the 6-drop Hercules from set 5 or 6, like the baby Hercules. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know what. Yeah. What's the idea of the card? Like, is it a? It's not an aggro card. It's also not a. It's not a card for control decks or something. It's not a card like. I don't know what I don't want to blame them. It's like, I really love them designing cards, but like, what do we do with this card? Like, in which decks we slam this card? Like, should we slam this card?
Sure.
And it's so bad. Also, so outstated from uncommons and commons. It's kind of weird, but okay. I'm really surprised that this is a common card for me, or uncommon. Like, it would be, if that would be uncommon, I would think, oh, okay, yeah, no, not that bad for an uncommon. I would say, like, okay, yeah. In like sealed, I would say, okay, yeah, I probably play this, and but legendary, okay. But we got other legendaries that are, I think, way more interesting and way more likely to see competitive play. First of all is this, and both cards, the interesting thing is to talk with you about is, like, both cards are very hard for me to evaluate, and I really can't. I'm just not brave enough to say an honest opinion if I think it will see play. But both could see play. The first one is the Pinocchio. Pinocchio Quest for Two, 0-4. When you ready this character, once during your turn, you draw a card. So simply a good threat. Like, you could compare it a bit to Diablo, a bit from the effect, but of course it's a lot slower. But it quests for two, and it's like also I think it's an aggro card in first. In its first, or what would you say? Is this an aggro card? Is this a what's that? What's the Pinocchio? In which decks you would see it?
Well, it has to be like a deck that at least is willing to invest in a completely proactive evasive threat, right? It's having no strength makes it radically different to a card like Genie, which in a pinch can trade, and can do like Genie is instrumental in all of those Genie wars, which Genie is important. Genie's important because he answers Genie, right? So you need your Genie with your Elsa to answer opposing Genies. And when you consider that things like that are going on, it makes Pinocchio look a fair amount worse, because curving a Pinocchio with an opposing Genie in play into like the turn where your opponent can Elsa makes this card look real bad. So it has to be something that's like proactive and aggressive enough where like it's putting so much pressure on that like that having that happen isn't the end of the game for it, right? So your opponent doing that, if you were just like at the average pace of like most of the purple mid-range decks at the moment, being on the draw, your opponent plays Genie, you play a Pinocchio, you get your Pinocchio Elsa'd on their turn 5.
That's really bad.
That's game over. Like the game's ended. It's going to be virtually impossible to regain enough tempo from there to claw back in.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So you must have such a heavy tempo advantage in those situations where because like on paper this is a great card, but in that situation it becomes really bad. So if you're a deck that has such a heavy advantage in lore, if you have been aggressive enough, like this looks like a great option there. But like, yeah, worth noting that this 4 slot is already heavily contested for super good cards that do a really similar job and maybe don't have the same weaknesses.
But it has 2 strengths, in my opinion,
It does.
Genie. First of all, the obvious one, it's inkable, and that's a real upside for me, because like often if I build purple decks, I would like to slam in like 4 rabbits, 4 genies. That's what I want to do, but I can't, because like they are all uninkable. Like there are a lot of matches I would like to slam a rabbit and a genie every turn, and then it's not possible, but because you also need to reach there, and if you have like multiples, it can be very clunky. This card can never be clunky. Like you could say an inkable can. Yeah, it's not a cantrip. That's the problem a bit. Like it's not a. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem. That's not like you play this, get your card back. That's what you would like to have. Like another inkable, like I get my card back card, which is also a decent threat, and that's what he not provide. He's also a much more like must answer thing, like than Genie, because it runs away with card advantage. Like you can't let this quest 2 or 3 times. Genie you can sometimes. So yeah, it has ups and downsides. Probably the downsides are a bit more than the upsides, but if we just look for inkables, like we have some slots left, and we really don't want to add more uninkables. Maybe I could see it, but you made a really good point with the with the Genie Elsa turn. That's really, if we are still in this Genie meta, then that of course is really bad. Then. Yeah.
worth noting that Genie and Elsa are both cards from set 5 onwards, so they are not going anywhere in rotation. That as a
Yeah,
4 into 5 is not ending anytime soon.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah, true.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and then we have the another legendary, the purple legendary, and that's a card I don't think it's hard to say. It's like the purpose of this card is not very clear. It's like it's a super aggressive card, that's clear, but yeah, it's hard to say. It's like she costs 3/1/1, really bad deadline, of course. Quest for 3, what's huge, and when you play her, you gain 1 lore. And every time an opponent plays a character, return this card to your hand. So like it's very easy for your opponent to make you not quest with her. But of course, it's like it's hard to say. What do you think about this card?
Full disclosure, what our listeners won't hear is that we just had to re-record this segment because I thought the second ability on this card said that when your opponent plays a character, return it from your discard to your hand. And I was ready to just like
this
have a party about this card. It's like the best aggressive tool ever printed. It's going to keep coming back to your hand, so you can just keep gaining 1 lore. So something like this is like, right, but it's basically going to, if it's ever in your discard, it's coming back to your hand next turn because, who doesn't play characters?
How do you mean that?
Similar.
How do you mean that? You don't get it back from your discard?
Oh shit, I'm completely misread the card. Actually, when stopping and reading, when reading the card, it's a fair amount worse. Your opponent has a massive amount of control over bouncing it back to your hand. Obviously, like playing a character is something they can do constantly. Most decks can do it most turns if they need to. And actually just gaining 1 lore on the way in for an investment of 3, not so good. It's also not terrible. Like I feel like I'm fully down on the card because of how much worse it is than what I thought it did. But it's not.
It's hard
If
to
they
say.
don't answer it, you get to quest for 3. An investment of 3 ink to gain a lore for some decks is pretty good. It's that white rose type effect. It's a lot of extra reach. It's like, but then if you develop this on turn 3 and they get to bounce it for nothing, they just play whatever they were gonna play.
It's probably not good.
Oh, it's so miserable, isn't it? Like you run this out on your turn 3 and then they like Tala or something, and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah, probably.
The 1 lore you got is the 1 lore you would have got with your initial quest on like anything else.
Probably.
Yeah, I
don't
know.
It's.
I don't. I was so hyped off my misreading of the card.
Yeah, I think your misreading of the card would be not good because it would be completely, absolutely busted and ruin this game. But
yeah, it would be pretty bad for the game. I don't know. I'm pretty low on this.
Yeah, I still can see this card being very annoying, but it's like you need to answer it, but it's like easy to answer. But then you get it back. I don't know. It's like probably not good enough. So
I think this is if this was ever going to be good, like the time has passed. You just can't enable yourself to get out tempoed like that, even in a really aggressive deck that's just looking for inevitability. It's not inevitable enough. You could just play a spell book and then invest 1 every turn after that, right?
Yeah, no, it's better. It's better than a spellbook, I think. It's like it's still
Not
quest for
much.
3. It's like your opponent.
Come on, it's never questing.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Before this becomes the last episode of the podcast.
No,
we'll move on.
Probably not good enough. Yeah. What I saw interesting card is the Ice Spikes. I think it's a good card. I think it's not something groundbreaking or something, but in this purple decks they seem to play Tamator now, and Tamator. Yeah, you won't get this in your discard, but with Bell, you could still play Bell for it and then recur it with Tamatora. But the two good effects, like the first one is always like useful. We'll see a lot of situations where this is useful. And the second effect is like it can shut down dimes, for example, completely. What I really think is like against the Blurple deck struggled a lot against Steelsong, and I think it's a really good card against Steelsong. Like you can hopefully be able to exert these aerials and stuff before they can sing Whole New World. So therefore, I mean, you have Elsa relatively early, so you maybe don't need it that much, but it's of course not a bad card, I think. Or what would you say?
It's a tricky one because it some of those Blurple decks, those builds that are playing Tamatoa, like some of them have played Croquet Mallet, that sort of thing, which is a really similar effect on an uninkable item. But that costs 1, and you like in a pinch you can use it to Bell on turn 1, which is good for them. This costing 2, like it has so many obvious advantages over that card, but the costing 2 is pretty significant because yes, as you say, it would have an important role to play in like stopping, like enabling you to interact with Steel Soul. That's your primary problem as Blurple. You just can't interact outside of your Elsas. So how do you stop any of this stuff? It would help do that, but where on the curve are you doing it? Because you're definitely ramping on 2, so and you're not playing like other than Bell. Like, if you turn 1 Popsicle Belled with the deck and then did this on turn 2 or turn 3 or something to stop something, then great. But like that's a real specific set of cards to enable just like 1 early interaction. Basically, on your second turn you're ramping, and on your third turn you're playing a 4-cost thing. So already what would be your first opportunity to play it is the same turn you could have Elsa'd. You know, that's your Elsa turn anyway. So I don't know. It looks like a really good utility tool for these decks, and if they're playing Tamatoa, they should consider it for sure. But yeah, when you think about where it actually sits on the curve, it's a lot more awkward than it might feel like. Yeah.
And that probably kills it. Yeah, we'll see. Get Out is an interesting card. And I think it's like one of these cards. Like if you see the colors blue red, it's like exactly what a deck like blue red would play, like from an effect. But I still don't know if it's good enough. But it's like it's a good card for that type of deck. Have a good effect for the type of deck, but still, I'm not completely convinced.
Yeah, it's a heavy investment, isn't it? 6 uninkable. Some of these like shark type decks are playing a couple Dragonfires.
Yeah, now that they play Let It Go, and Let It Go is probably still better. It's hard to say.
Yeah. This is worth a look.
It's
I
worth a
imagine
look.
they'll test it.
Worth a look.
Yeah.
And it's of course not a bad card.
No, not at all.
The Bernard is one a card that we talked about, Jasmine, and this is exactly the type of cards that I think they need. But it has the same problem that you said, like it's not an ally itself, and has this ally effect. Like why? But it's a good effect. If you have an ally character play, you may draw a card. So uninkable.
Yeah,
I don't know if that was necessary to make it uninkable.
Probably
Would it be
this
too
probably
broken?
could have been an inkable card. You know,
Yeah,
probably didn't need that mark against it. Like it being ally dependent and not being an ally itself is already like a markdown enough for.
Yeah.
But you're completely right. This is the kind of filler card that these tribal/typal decks need to succeed. They need like curve fillers that do something like slightly better than you would normally expect on rate, but like only just and conditionally based on their type. So yeah, it's something that again could have been could have been good. Could have been a good role player in those decks, but he's unfortunately let down by a couple of things. I think the uninkability kills this, which is sad.
Yeah, you're probably right. Because if it would quest for 2 or something, then it would be like worth the investment sometimes. But yeah. And we got this new Donald, which is a weird new, how can I say, new combo with this new piggy bank. I don't think it's good.
No,
what do you say?
Neither do I.
No.
This is like
you play this
costs 8.
Yeah.
And has an ability that enables you to draw cards with your characters that are ready to exert. If you're on 8 ink and you've got a bunch of characters ready to turn sideways, like just end the game. Just end the game with them instead of drawing cards.
That's so true. I mean, technically you can make this play it for free if you have 4 piggy banks in play, but yeah.
Sure.
Let me dream. No. But what I really think is really cool, and we already talked about it, we got a new 1-cost at Jasmine, and that's exactly what I talked about. We had to cut the recording, sorry. We talked about it, but I didn't know already that we get one. But now we know we get another Jasmine. So we have 8 1-cost Jasmine if we want to make this 2-cost shift really consistent. And then this is a good turn to play, I think.
Yeah, it's good. The issue being that like both of the 1-cost Jasmines are like kind of mid, right? Especially as 1-drops.
Yeah.
They have utility effects which are like not on the same power level as the 1-cost Diablos. They are like situationally useful, but not quite there. Like I think they're playable, and that you can like shifting the Jasmine on turn 2 might be really, really good. But yeah, I don't know. I think I just wished that the whatever the new 1-drop was that was spoiled to enable this shift, I wished it was like a little better.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Or are there any other cards you would like to talk about?
No, I think in terms of the spoilers that we have now, I'm pretty comfortable that those are the standout ones. Like I do like the 2-cost Hiro Hamada. That readies unconditional readying of a Floodborn character. Obviously, when you turn this sideways once, it's probably like that's the only time you do it. You do it once and then it goes bye-bye. But yeah, does unconditional readying means like a second quest or something? It's not just ready it and they can't quest or whatever. I mean, it's more shift targets for the big hero, which is actually really cool. And like against some decks just can't answer that shifted hero quite often. One of its big problems was that there was only one reasonable shift target. So this is a enabler that might make people have a look at that again. And I do really like that card. And so it's worth a look for sure.
Yes. Okay. So from now on we will talk every week about the new spoilers, I think. And it will be exciting.
It's all new cards from here.
Because the most people are like, I mean, we will talk about the meta too, but yeah, set championships are now, and then we are all excited for sets set 8, right? No.
Yeah,
set 8. I'm confused. For set 8 now, and then I think that's for the most people the more interesting things. No completely standout cards yet, but some interesting ones.
No, and, nothing blowing me away.
Yeah.
It's aside from that Bambi, when I read that, I thought, whoa, that did blow me away. And then it turned out the card didn't do what I wanted.
Yeah, it would be
very similar to when I read Calhoun for the first time and thought it, and for some reason just read 2 lore pips on it and thought it quested for 2.
Okay, that would be also like stupid.
I know. I thought, it's like, why is nobody else excited about this? Like, it's a strictly better Smee.
Yeah.
What do you mean strictly better? And actually, the card turned out to be very, very good. But not quite as good as I thought it was.
Yeah. So, but I'm always like, I get more cautious every set now because
Sure.
I was wrong with many cards in the past, and I know we were all. I just remember when we were with Seth, Seth,
Mhm.
Lorcana Villain,
Yep.
and it was one more. I think
Zach
Zach Bivens.
Bivens?
Yeah, the Zach Bivens. And I think it was set 4. And we were all
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
the Diablo. God, we were like, oh, this is trash. Dies to Cindy Storm and does not much. And we were all bashing that card, how bad it is. And it just turned out to be a meta breaker, you know? So, like.
Which one? The one cost Diablo?
No, the 3 cost. We were bashing it. You
Were
could
we?
look that video. Like,
Diablo is a. Oh no, Diablo is a set 3 card. A set 4 card.
yeah. And still, I think he's not super busted, but he's one of these cards that needs an immediate answer. That's this Diablo 3-cost bird. I think it's one of those cards like 3-drop Ursula. I don't know if he's good enough, but he needs an immediate answer or he goes crazy. We were bashing it really much.
No, I'm not going to go back and watch that again. I'm just going to. I choose to believe that my opinions were correct at the time, and that nothing has changed. And I think the card I was most excited to talk about then was Super Goof.
And I think
But
it was.
in fairness, we were coming off a like goats were really flying high, and like anything that looked like anything that was kind of like providing reasonable reach while also offering you good trades and board presence, that card in a vacuum looked so much better than it turned out to be.
Yeah.
And it's still a played card that's totally fine, but
I'm
I really thought that was going to go the distance.
But I'm proud because I think the same. I think I remember I said like something like, at some point I could see Pirates Life seeing play, and many people like, trash card, you know.
I think
Everyone
we
plays
all
Pirates
agreed
Life.
that was the most playable one of the Sing Together cards.
Yeah,
which
that's
is good
true.
for
That's
us.
true. Yeah, that's
well
very
done.
good for us.
Well
yeah.
done. Pat on the back.
So good. We are so good. Yeah. Okay, I think we talked about everything, right? Or do you have anything left?
Oh, one more thing from the reveal stream that I just really quickly wanted to touch on. That I think is so good. Is the new rarities in the boosters.
Oh yeah. We
you
didn't
have
talk
this.
about it.
You have this iconic card to now be like. Well, there's going to be 2 iconic cards in the set, which I guess will be Mickey. We've seen. I guess the other one will be the mini that matches the key art for Fabled. And they are just going to be like this crazy chase, which is really good to have like a super high value chase. But then I think the rarity, the rarity they've added between legendary and enchanted, that is so important. I've been crying out for like a reason to make opening boosters more exciting. It's felt really bad that like enchanted is the only chase, and it's you basically you open a box and there is either an enchanted in it or you are sad, and then 50% of the time when there is an enchanted you're also sad. I don't understand, like, this is a really crazy thing to think about. Like, I have at times struggled with like gambling. Like I can be impulsive, and like gambling is very exciting to me. And at times in the past, I've had to take steps to stop from doing that. I no longer do it. But so that's the background. In addition to that, I'm incredibly invested in Lorcana. So I love Lorcana. I have a background of enjoying chance basically, and like chasing these exciting outcomes. And even in those conditions, like, I find opening Lorcana boosters so boring. I do not buy sealed product. I find it unbelievably boring. I can't get excited. The EV on current boxes is I just can't get excited about it. It's every single box feels like a massive loss. The chase is too rare to be exciting. But all of that to say, like, I think these 2 new additions are really, really good and really positive, and that if they pick the right cards for the epic stuff that sits between legendary and enchanted, I'm completely back in. I'm buying cases again like I did in early sets.
I need to
Yeah,
tell your
I'm
wife to
completely
take
back
an
in.
eye on you.
Well, they've still got a nice pile of money carved out for this hobby that is like just it's sat in a PayPal account. No one can see it, and it's like what I do with that is my business, you know.
Yeah, it's an investment. Yeah,
It's an investment trade, TM.
yeah.
But no, I just that was one of my like really minor gripes with the game was just that the boosters were like the way boosters were structured
Mm-hmm.
made them like really the pack opening experience is not as fun as other TCGs. And I
Yeah,
think this is a major step in the right direction for that.
yeah. I think the most problem was just. I think for me the most problem was just the what they decided to be the enchanted. Like they were
Yeah, the
mostly,
bad
yeah,
enchanteds.
yeah, yeah. That if all enchanted would be like super playable cards, like really good cards, then I think it would still be exciting. If you have a chance to draw, like in the last booster, you have a chance to draw a Tabator, but if it's the only really really good enchanted and the all other enchanteds
Yeah,
are like, I don't know, I don't care, then yeah, it's not super exciting. So they should
yeah,
also, yeah, I mean that's another good step, but I still hope they choose the right cards for being one of these new rarity cards and enchanted cards, and that could raise the value a lot. I think of the booster opening things.
yeah. And like I think on the reveal stream they showed that enchanted version of Winnie the Pooh Honey Wizard,
Mm-hmm.
which is just like a beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful piece of cardboard. Um, that's one of the big bits that was missing for me, which is that if you're going to make something as rare as an enchanted, like one per case, it's a case hit,
Mm-hmm.
and like the boxes aren't full of amazing legendaries. Each set has a sprinkling of amazing
Mm-hmm.
legendaries, so you're chasing the case hit. It either needs to be super competitively relevant
Mm-hmm.
or a very very lovely collector's item,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then in some cases it could be both. Like that Tamatoa, brilliant. That's a brilliant chase card, but it can't be the only one. That's
Yeah,
just
but
like yeah.
was there ever a unplayable high value enchanted card? I don't know. I think
No, I
it's
don't
it's
mean that.
like
There's
it's like
yeah,
it's
no, there
like
hasn't
always
been
connected to the playability of the card. That's why I
exactly.
doubt, for example, that the Winnie Pooh will be high value. I
I
don't.
know it will.
Yeah,
It will.
you will.
Yeah,
You think it
I
will?
it will. Yeah, it will.
Okay.
Uh, it's I don't. I guess I haven't believed so much in like this as a collector's game because of the way that Enchanteds are structured and how
Mm-hmm.
many of them are like yeah, that experience like I was saying, they should either be really competitively relevant or a really really outstanding collector's item. I think that Winnie the Pooh qualifies. Your set one Elsa, the Shift Elsa, is like iconic enough to
Mm-hmm.
be really high value enchanted while being only a fringe playable card.
Mm-hmm.
It was very playable at the start, and it's retained a super high value
Mm-hmm.
um, compared to others in that set, despite not being that playable.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, true.
I think that the Winnie the Pooh will kind of show us that actually, if they do tick that beautiful collector's item box, they retain a real good amount of value because a lot of people will just want to have that as a really nice piece of
Mm-hmm.
cardboard. Where the disappointment started for me is cards like the one I always reference is the Wall, the enchanted the Wall,
Oh, yeah.
which is like it's not even remotely playable.
Yeah. It's
It's also like it's unexciting to the point of
yeah.
almost being insulting to someone that opens it.
Yeah.
It's like this is
Just the name,
like
the war,
the
like
wall. It is a wall. Like I understand that it's the Great Wall,
yeah,
which
but
is
yeah,
one of the wonders of the world, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
an
but
incredible construction. But it's like I don't know. Just when I saw that, I just thought like, oh, it's so over for these enchanteds.
and
Like,
there
how
are
are they
some
being
characters
selected?
too. There's some characters too,
Yeah,
like Basil or something. I don't know, or the Navi. what's the name of this Namari or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, like I
there are
don't know.
lots.
Yeah, yeah.
There are too many to like too many to count. And it looks like from the stream that they really have got a handle on making sure they're the right cards, and
Mm-hmm.
like that extends to set championship promos. Like we're getting that Maleficent, which looks incredible
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
is super playable and is
Yeah.
obviously going to continue to be a playable card. I think it's a really, really good time to be a part of the game. I think that there is so much that's been learned. Getting this kind of communication, having this open up, like I feel so positive about it. Even that really short stream that they did in response to the leaked information was such a good move.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Such
was really
such a
cool.
it was it's just like to think about where we were a year ago, and then like something happened that was unplanned and it sucks for everyone involved, but then like within a few hours somebody was live on stream talking to us about it. That communication was
Mm-hmm.
open,
Mm-hmm.
and that is a really, really great
Yeah.
sign for the future of the
Yeah.
game, that we should all be excited about. So like I'm feeling overwhelmingly positive. Yeah, a few things still missing. We need the DLCs. We need to, like, let's get it done. We need to kick this thing off again. But feeling really, really good overall.
Yeah. Just to wrap this up, I think I don't want to. When I see the stream and I see the comments on the right, then I think so often like I just want to say shortly like I probably know when I say this that I don't say this to people that need to hear it, because the most people I think are very kind and good. But if you make a comment up, it can be very insulting and stuff, and just think about it twice before you like put the enter button and send it. Like you don't know sometimes how yeah, how that can hurt people. Like if I see some comments, I think somebody needs to tell them that they need to rethink about uh, typing insulting comments that I think don't belong. Yeah, everyone is probably trying to do their best to make this game good, and even if I think something is wrong, that you don't, you shouldn't go on the personal, yeah, on the personal level or something. But I don't think I'm actually really not thinking there's something to complain. They react to everything we want most of the time, and then I always think like if there's something not said, then there must be a reason for it. And yeah, so I think we should calm down sometimes a bit. If I see that, I don't know, I don't know. Just
Yeah,
want to
no,
say just want to say that
yeah.
shortly.
Some of it
Yeah,
was like extreme. It
yeah,
was some of it was way too far, and
yeah.
yeah, like we were watching it, like, and on the one hand, you're like you're laughing because it's kind of like
Yeah.
whoa, this is so like it's so detached from reality that it becomes funny.
Yeah.
But then you're kind of like, for the people that this is aimed at, it's no joke,
Yeah.
and
And
just you got to read between the lines a bit as well. Like there are some things which are like understandably really disappointing, and I get that, like
mm-hmm.
especially for people that live close by to where Worlds is happening,
Mm-hmm.
Worlds being closed event, like that is really disappointing. But like read between the lines and extrapolate that something has gone wrong there. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't suddenly not invite people because they thought it would be funny to go back on what they said before,
Yeah,
or they thought it doesn't matter. Something yeah, something went quite seriously wrong with the
yeah,
planning of Worlds, and we can't
yeah,
really speculate what it was.
yeah,
Something didn't go as planned,
yeah.
and something had to change. And so, yeah, I guess it's really easy to say, isn't it, when you're not one of the people specifically let down? So like I do empathize with you if you're
Absolutely.
one of the people let down by that. But at the same time, like we've all got to have some empathy for the people that are trying to improve this for us,
Yeah.
and like just realize that no one's trying to screw you over or
Yeah.
take away something that
They
we were
have the
looking forward
most
to for fun.
they have the most interest of being successful, more than us.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because it's their life, like it's their job and stuff. Like they need to be successful. We don't need them to be successful, but they need to be successful. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well said.
With that emotional words, we get to wrap this up. Yeah, long episode again, a lot of spoilers, but I think that was worth it. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. We see us next time, and bye bye.
Bye-bye.